All right, and we are back here on the GSMC football podcast. And for the third part of the show, we are going to talk about Aaron Rodgers, him expressing confidence in the Jets going into the 2024 season. So, with the Jets, team that I continue to talk about, they got high expectations going into this year. And this is take two because last year, of course, Rodgers went down and basically derailed their whole season. But this is take two, and this is what he said. This was on Adam Schein's show, Sirius XM Mad Dog Sports Radio. And he said, I'm always confident. You know me. I feel like if I'm on the field and doing what I'm capable of doing, number one, we've always got a chance. And number two, more than that, we're one of those, half a dozen to 10 teams that can actually win a championship this year. So that's what's exciting. And he also said we dealt with a lot of adversity on and off the field last year. Not just the injuries, but there's, a lot of comments that were said, a lot of things that were kind of out there. And I think in those times of adversity, we really kind of see what kind of character we have, and I'm proud of the way that we kept it together. I'm proud of guys rallying around Coach Saleh and Coach Hackett, and there's a lot of belief. There's obviously a lot of urgency. I talked about it the other day. Some people don't like talking about the urgency and the expectation and how our jobs are on the line every year, but that's just the reality in this league. Urgency abounds in the Big Apple, but perhaps nobody is and will be more scrutinized than Hackett. Yeah, because, Nathaniel Hackett was a part of the Packers when Rodgers won back-to-back MVPs, and then that led to him getting the job in Denver, and it just didn't pan out. And then he's brought in to be the offensive coordinator of the Jets, and that's really to lure Rodgers to them. But once he went down, the Jets really just had no idea what to do, and that led to them going 7-10. And Rodgers said, well, actually, the Jets were 29th in the league in points scored, but Rodgers remains confident in his support, or steadfast in his support of Hackett. So for the Jet fans doubting Hackett, Rodgers' message is simple, and he basically says, you should trust me, and I trust Nathaniel. This is basically what he said. He would this is what he said when it comes to telling Jet fans, to believe in Hackett. So to me, that's the end of the story. There's been a lot of BS that's been said out there. There's a lot of things that have gone on the last couple of years that he's dealt with that. I think he's handled very professionally, and at the end of the day, I think you got to trust my working relationship and the conversations that we have. We got to believe in Nathaniel. There's been some things that we've improved on, been some things that were out of his control. At the end of the day, his and my partnership is one that's been fruitful in the past, and it's going to be fruitful again. I look forward to a season that I hope is obviously a lot longer than this past one and a lot more fruitful. So, he had a lot to say, but, he's defending his guy, and I guess you got to respect it, but there's also been reports out there that he would, change the play, or he would audible out stuff that Hackett would call. And really, it comes down to this. If the Jets end up having a season similar to what they had last year, all these guys are going to be gone. That's really what it comes down to. And Rodgers is going to... He's basically going to overshadow some of the deficiencies that they may have with coaching. He's going to block it out. But if he doesn't stay healthy, then it's going to be it's going to be more of the same with what's going on with the Jets. And I know I did a topic on this last week, but he basically acknowledged himself that if he doesn't get the job done, he's also going to be gone too. But if the Jets go out there and have a good season, that's going to buy these guys more time. Their jobs are going to be saved, at least for the moment. Now, if the Jets go out there, they have this great year, and then Rodgers retires afterwards, it's going to be, I mean, Robert Sala's job's going to be saved, but then it's going to be interesting what's going to happen once Rodgers does leave. Because they drafted Jordan Travis in the 5th round out of Florida State, so he could be Rodgers' successor. And if he doesn't see the field at all, if he could sit behind him and learn from him and Tyrod Taylor, that's going to benefit him in the long term. But that's one thing to think about is if Rodgers only plays this year and they have this good year, like I said, their jobs are going to be saved, but then what's going to happen after that? Like, if they go back to not being good, I mean, then they probably are gone anyways. So, just another thing to think about. But listen, I've been all over the Jets. I think the Jets are going to be really good this year, and I'll own it if it ends up going similar to last year. But like I said, I have the mindset of last year people were high on them, and then Rodgers got hurt. Now people are like, it's going to happen again. So I'm going to be in the minority and say, all right, well, I'll still be standing on this side, and I'll go through it again. I mean, with what they've done, it's I mean, I don't want to say it's hard because it definitely can happen again, but I think it's going to go differently. They really prioritize this offensive line. They added more weapons to the offense. They drafted a receiver. They signed Mike Williams. And you still got Breece Hall, who was one of the best running backs in the NFL towards the end of the year. Arguably the best running back with how he was playing. And you got Garrett Wilson there. And we never got to see what him and Rodgers could do over the course of a full season. So I'm excited for what they could accomplish. I want to see Rodgers go out there and have a good year, and then go from there. Because if everything goes well, this team could be really good. And if that defense has an offense that can put up some points, that benefits them. And we saw how that defense performed against some of the best quarterbacks last year. And they didn't win all of those games. But if they had Aaron Rodgers playing against the Chiefs, they probably win that game. And they still almost won that game with Zach Wilson at quarterback. But, they beat the Bills. They beat the Eagles. The Chargers game was a mess. I mean, Herbert didn't really light it up, but the Jets' offense was just not good. So, I mean, they get put to the test right off the bat. They start out the year against the 49ers, a team that has given Rodgers problems over the years. So, again, that could be a good game. Just hoping for the best. But that's just, I mean, to pin them up against the 49ers right off the bat, start the year. I mean, you think they would have wanted to give the Jets an easier game, but no. They're throwing Rodgers right back into the fire, so we'll see how it goes. We got a while before that game. I know Scott Hansen tweeted recently, 15 Sundays since the Super Bowl and 15 Sundays until the season starts. So, yeah, it'll be here before we know it. So, we're going to take our next break. Let me know what you guys think about Rodgers, what he had to say, and anything else you might have to say regarding the Jets. So when we come back, we're going to talk about the trio of wide receivers for the Tennessee Titans. We'll talk about some comments made by DeAndre Hopkins. Kind of just give you my expectations for the three wide receivers for the Titans going into 2024. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.